Community College Board of Trustees regular meeting here in the Dankert boardroom, Tuesday, September 14th at 4:30 p.m. And we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome everybody this evening, and thanks for being here. We'll go ahead with the approval of the agenda. And I think, Shelby, did you have a couple of items you wanted to?
I'd like the items 10,
And I think it's 11 C2, correct? Up to, okay. C2 and D5.
And tell them it's not.
Yep, and then you have an updated agenda in front of you. The times, I don't know if you noted the times are corrected. And then also we added an executive session as item 5, which is maybe why you thought it was section 10. So that moved for a brief discussion after bit. So is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to amend the agenda to move item C2 and D5 to the board action items from the consent agenda. We could call the roll.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
Trustee Law,
Yes.
Trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
Trustee Lechtenberg,
Yes.
Trustee Winslow,
Yes.
Trustee Howell,
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
The amendment and the approval of the agenda passes. We will move on to recognitions.
Okay, we got a great group of students here tonight to recognize. And the first, we've got a bunch of them out in the hallway, but the first group I want to have come in are the 2021-22 student government officers. And I'm going to have them introduce themselves, and then Guadalupe, who's the president, can introduce the advisors. How about that? So here's a microphone for you. You guys are on camera, I think. So.
All right. Hello, my name is Sophia Dawson. I am a sophomore here at Butler, and I am the vice president of SGA, and I am a business administration major.
Where are you from?
I am from Medicine Lodge, Kansas.
Hi, I'm Rachel Christensen. I'm also a sophomore, and I'm from Wichita, Kansas, and I'm a coordinator.
Hi, I'm Chloe Beth Welsh. I'm also a coordinator with SGA. I'm a freshman this year, and I'm a music major from Junction City, Kansas.
I'm Jace Doolittle. I am the secretary and treasurer of SGA, and I am an electrical engineering majoring here in pre-engineering, and I'm a sophomore.
Where are you from?
Iowa, Kansas.
My name is Guadalupe Torres. I am the president of SGA. My major is business administration, and our advisors are Sherry and Ron Castle. Oh, I also have a office report to present. I'm so sorry.
Sherry Connor.
Yeah.
And Ron Castle.
Yeah.
There you go. We're not there.
Oh, did I know? Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, if you want to do, if you want, well, she can go ahead and do her standing report right now since they're right here, and that way they can go ahead and take off. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
All right. SGA has recently participated in GrizFest alongside Resident Life for opening week. We hosted a block party, allowing new and returning students to meet new people and enjoy a great night with food and games outdoor. We also offered free bowling and mini golf at the El Dorado Fun Center. Alongside that, we created a Activities Unlimited. It's a QR code where you can scan it, and it allows people to access all the clubs and organizations, and they can sign up through there, and it's off paper. All your personal information is safe. We also hosted a movie night at the cinema in El Dorado at the end of GrizFest week, which allowed students to enjoy a free movie of their choice. Last Friday, SGA sponsored paint wars along with sand volleyball, and there's a great turnout. On Saturday, SGA also attended the El Dorado's 150th parade. And just recently, SGA also helped sponsor a suicide prevention documentary that is available for all Butler students to view through their emails.
Thank you very much.
Good job, you guys. And I just want to say thank you. Your leadership is really important on campus, on our campuses as students. And we appreciate the hard work that you do and the opportunities that you provide for our students and everybody across campus. So congratulations. We'll look forward to working with you this year. Okay. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Thank you, Ron and Sherry, too. Goodbye, Mr. and Mrs. Connor. Mr. and Mrs. Price. Okay, next up, my microphone is on here. Next up, we have a bunch of athletic awards. So students can come on in if you want to, and coaches, I think they're coming in from every direction, aren't they?
Here's the academic guys.
Okay, bring them all in.
All right.
Bring them all in. They just came from practice too, so just so you know, the coaches warned us. Are they coming still? Keep coming. It's okay. We got everybody?
Yes, all the students.
Okay, super. And we got a couple of coaches out there still? Or not?
Yes.
Okay, I want the coaches too. Okay, good. We got them all. All righty, good. So every year, the NJCAA awards student athletes who are outstanding scholars an NJCAA All Academic Award. They also award All Academic Team Awards. So this is just a small representation of the student athletes that are our scholar athletes recognized by the NJCAA. So, and I'm sorry, I'm sitting here, I'm going to read this because we can't let any of this go undiscussed. We're really proud of all of you. We had 47 Grizzlies that were recognized at the national level that were named to the prestigious list of the National Junior College Athletic Association All Academic Team members, and 4 Butler programs were also named to the All Academic Team list this year. The Grizzlies had a total of 20 students, 8 sports represented in the total, that earned first team All Academic honors, which means they had a 4.0 GPA. We had 12 students that earned second team honors, and so those students had a 3.8 to a 3.99. And then 15 students picked up third team honors, 3.6 GPA to 3.79. Baseball led the way with 13 student athletes earning all academic honors, and football had 10. We also had 4 Butler programs that had an overall team GPA of 3.0 or better. Volleyball, this is their 3rd consecutive year having the top Grizzly team designation or distinction, earning a 3.4 GPA this past year as a team. And in addition, volleyball, baseball finished with a 3.36 team GPA, soccer recorded a 3.24 GPA, and softball had a 3.13. And so for those coaches, BJ, baseball, and your team, 2021 team, congratulations. Second. I don't think Adam's here. Adam Hunter's not here. Okay, so we'll get his again. Doug Chance, softball. Congratulations. And then Lisa Lechtenberg and the volleyball team were recognized again as the top GPA team for us with a 3.4 team GPA. She also, along with the 2021 volleyball team, received again the U.S. Marine Corps 2021 U.S. Marine Corps and Association or American Volleyball Coaches Association award for a top scholastic award again for consecutive years as well. And so I've got certificates for Lisa. And the letter that came from AVCA said, and let me read this to you. I can get to my second sheet here. Just said that this award was led by coaches Lisa Lechtenberg and Tessa Cosby. The award letter noted, in this uncertain time, and keep in mind, this all happened last year during COVID, that these students excelled in the classroom and excelled as athletes as well. Oh, there you are, Lisa. Glad you're here. Sorry. The award letter said, in this uncertain time, leadership matters. While some programs lost their ability to compete this season, volleyball coaches continue to demonstrate their important role supporting players' academic achievements. Lisa was a critical anchor for players adjusting to a changing school experience. The coaches aren't the recipients of the award necessarily, but the teams are, with the encouragement from both Lisa and Tessa to stay focused on their academics. So congratulations, Coach Chance, Coach Lechtenberg, Coach Hunter, and Coach, let's say, wherever you went. There you go. And your assistant coaches too. So please express our appreciation for those great team awards. What I want to do now is also identify these outstanding student scholars that we have with us. And I clipped these together, first team, second team, and third team. And so, I don't know, TC.
First team's to the right, second
Okay.
team's in the middle, and third team.
You want to hang on to these? And if
Yeah.
and so when I name your names off, I'm going to name everybody off. When I name your names off, raise your hand for us so we can see who's here and where you are. So first team, 4.0 GPAs. Nathan Adler, baseball. Noah Argenta, baseball. Jonathan Contreras, baseball. Jaron Jackson, baseball. Clifton Miller, men's basketball. Daniel Burchell, cross-country track. Emily Hankins, cross-country track. Caden Cox, football. Nicholas Davenport, football. Tevin Petrie, football. Thomas Tholen, II, football. Mason Thrash, football. Ryan Williams, football. Abigail Clark, soccer. Maggie Coster, soccer. Alyssa Salazar, soccer. Haley Garnett, softball. Madison Young, softball. Kaylee Duncan, volleyball. And Jesse Nyberger, volleyball. Some of these students that are named obviously have graduated or transferred on, and aren't here. A lot of the students are in practice still today and doing other things as well. Second team, honorees with a 3.8 to a 3.99. Sydney Morrow, volleyball. Miranda Gibbons, women's basketball. Zachary Stroh, baseball. Ashton Conley, soccer. Zachary Nagel, baseball. Andrew Wisner, baseball. Ashley Hernandez, soccer. Spencer Maley, baseball. Lainey Gomez, cross-country track. Riley Hett, women's basketball. Jordan Kemp, football. And Anna Westerbarth, soccer. Third team, 3.6 to 3.79 GPA. Dylan Ritchie, baseball. Carissa Beck, women's basketball. John Hankinson, III, football. Devin Harrell, football. Mario Tullis, II, track. Mallory Cowman, volleyball. James Lovelace, football. Hunter Groh, baseball. Brock Lummis, baseball. Samuel Siegel, baseball. Sydney Hefty, volleyball. Madison Redmond, softball. Bryce Zimmerer, baseball. Sydney Adler, softball. Toby McClure, track. Congratulations, you guys. We're really, really proud of your accomplishments academically and your accomplishments on the field. You are outstanding representatives for our college each and every day, and we're really proud of that. We're proud of your commitment to not only excel in your sports, but excel in the classroom too. So good job, congrats. We've got certificates for you, and we really are excited that you're here today and could take the time to come join us for just a little bit. So Great job.
Thank you.
Dr. Pearl, there was a couple of the baseball men that carried the Kiwanis banner in the parade on Saturday as
really?
well.
Oh,
So
cool.
thank you guys for
Thank
your
you.
support in the
Yeah.
community. Appreciate it.
Nice job.
And then we're gonna finish up recognizing one of our great softball players too. Thanks, everybody. Hungry. No food here for them.
Okay.
Okay, we got Maddie. There's Maddie. All right. Maddie Young. Let me just tell you a little bit about Maddie Young. Okay? And again, I'm going to read from this because I just can't absolutely miss any of this. You guys are going to be amazed at
I want you to stand up.
Maddie's accomplishments. Yeah, Maddie, we need to see you on camera. Okay? So here's Maddie. Proud to announce Maddie Young was selected as this year's National Alliance of Two-Year Collegiate Athletic Administrators Female Scholar Athlete of the Year. This is the very first time that a Butler student has won this national award, and just the second time that a Jayhawk Conference athlete has had this award since it was initiated in 1992. This is a nationwide award that includes two-year schools from all across the country and all three associations, the NJCAA, the CCCAA, and the NWAACC. So listen to this. Listen to what she's done. It's amazing. Maddie became a first-team All-American. You heard her name announced after putting together one of the best offensive seasons any Grizzly has done in program history. Not only did she lead her team in the number of offensive categories this season, but also led the entire NJCAA across a number of stat categories this season. Maddie finished first in the entire NJCAA in runs scored with 111. Doubles hit 34, stolen bases 58. She was second in the country in total hits with 102, was third in the nation in batting average as she hit 544 on the season, and third in the NJCAA in on-base percentage at 608. Maddie has yet to be struck out in her collegiate career in over 250 plate appearances. Young also finished the season with 12 home runs and 6 triples while recording 54 RBIs. She also had a slugging percentage of 1.000 throughout the season. Young had a fielding percentage of .918, assisting in 88 outs, recording 58 putouts, and was part of 12 double plays during the year. She set new school records this season in runs scored, 111, and doubles, 34, and started in all of the Grizzlies' 55 games. She was also first team NFCA All-American, first team All-Region, and second team All KJCCC. How did that happen? Second team. Anyway, we are super proud of Maddie for her on-field accomplishments as well as everything that she's accomplished in the classroom. She's an outstanding student, comes from an amazing family, and we're just really, really excited for you and your future career. I know you're staying for another year at Butler and playing, so we're looking forward to a national championship, right?
No pressure.
Nothing in words, right? But anyway, I mean, these are the types of students that we have at Butler that are great students on the field and great students in the classroom as well. So we get a little video that we want to play. I'm not sure who's playing that, but this is I guess the surprise, right? The surprise for the award, and then I think Maddie's maybe acceptance too. So.
Hey Grizzly fans, we are going to award Maddie Young with the NADACA Female Scholar Athlete of the Year Award. First time in Grizzly history? Stay tuned.
Out of 20,000 student athletes, over 650 colleges, you are this year's award winner, the top female scholar athlete.
Good morning. My name is Maddie Young, and I was honored to be awarded the Natica Scholar Athlete of the Year Award. I couldn't think of a greater opportunity to represent the Butler Community College and our softball team. While I wish I could be standing in front of you today, I wanted to make it clear that I did not do this alone. I would first like to start off by thanking the School of Butler and the athletic department for nominating me for such an amazing award and giving me this opportunity. It's a humbling feeling to know that I was selected to even be a part of the Natica Scholar Athlete Award, much less being the first in Butler history. Second, I would like to thank my coach, Doug Chance, who has made me a better version of me since the very first day I walked into practice. To Morgan Bohannon and my sister, who have made me the most confident person on and off the field, as well as my teammates who I could not have done it without. Third, I would like to thank my dad and mom for the countless hours spent traveling at the ballparks, pushing me to give 100% at all times. To my brother and sister for making me the most competitive person and making me want to succeed at everything I do. To the wiffle ball games and all the competitions we had at our house. My Grammy and my boyfriend, along with his family, for always letting me know I have the best support system behind me at all times. Lastly, none of this would be possible without the ultimate sacrifice of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. He allows me to live my life and play softball with no worry about what my future holds because it's all in His hands. Thank you to everyone again for honoring me with this award. I hope to continue to make you proud, and I can't wait to see what another year with Butler across my chest holds for me. Thank you.
Also important for you to know that Maddie's sister played for Butler. When did you finish up? 2 years ago? 3 years. Okay, 3 years ago, and is back as an assistant coach. But any softball game that you go to, obviously, you know, it's family. You know, mom and dad are there, Grammy's there, the family dogs are there. Two-time All-American. Yes, that's right. So it runs in the family. So anyway, Maddie, congratulations. We're so proud of you and so excited for you. And look forward to a great year for Butler softball. So thanks for being here. Good job.
Patty, I saw you make one home run this year. That was, or last spring, and that was so exciting.
You'll have to come to more games this year to watch more.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And certainly, we don't want to forget, this is Julie's birthday was the 7th. Is that right? September 7th?
I forgot it. I don't know why
Oh.
you can't.
Well, I just want to
birthday,
say
Julie.
happy birthday. Okay,
Thank you, Dr. Kroll.
sure, that was fun. Thank
We
you.
will move on to, we're going to go into executive session for about 15 minutes for some discussion and update on negotiations. And so,
Mr. Chairman, I move we go into executive session for contractual matters of employee-employer negotiations to include the board, President Kim Kroll, Shelley Stoltz, Kent Williams, Bill Rinkenbaugh, and Dr. Phil Sperry.
I'm not sure Phil's going to join us.
Okay,
Okay, he won't be, so 15 minutes.
15 minutes
Less.
or approximately 5:15. What do you want to
we'll
call
look
it?
at it when we get kind of moved.
Once
into
we
the-
get moved in, we'll
the
start,
clock.
but
All right,
no more than 15
no
minutes.
more than 15 minutes.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Could you call the roll, Heather?
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Law,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trusteeLeckenberg,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Howell,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes. Motion to go into executive session passes, and go ahead and we can get switched into our
Do I need to go to the other computer, Heather? You got it. All right, thank you.
I think I forgot to send Lisa Bowl the. I was just looking at it and I'm like, oh my God. I have my little checklist of things I'm supposed to do.
There you go.
Out of Laura's notebook. Did you do that one?
Make sure it's, sometimes we need to break out.
We good? Okay, so we are back in the open session, and is there any public comment? Nobody online?
There was nothing online. and-
Okay.
Yep.
So no public comment tonight. We'll move on. We've covered the Student Government Association report, so we will, if Lisa Boland is available. Lisa, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Okay.
All right, you're up.
So good evening. Our scholarship committee has selected the book scholarship recipients for this academic year. Funded by operational staff fundraisers throughout the year, the book scholarship helps to cover the cost of books and enable students to continue towards their educational goals. To be eligible, applicants must be a member of operational staff or be an immediate family member. So this year, we were able to award 3 students with $500 each. We wish all of these applicants much success with their college efforts. And our first operational staff meeting for this year is scheduled for this Thursday, September 16th. That's all I have for you this evening.
Thank you very much, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.
And professional employees report, Dr. Sater.
All right, I would like to announce this year's BCCEA scholarship recipient. Her name is Morgan Walker. Morgan is from Augusta and is a student in the best program. $500 scholarship is awarded to a student who intends to enter the teaching profession at any level, pre-K, 12, and post-secondary. The committee was once again challenged with choosing from a number of very qualified candidates. Which makes me glad I'm not on. If you know Morgan or meet up with her, please congratulate her on receiving the scholarship and especially for her choice of professions. This scholarship award, funded entirely by the professional employees through payroll deduction to the foundation, is another example of our dedication to our students, the college, and our profession. Indeed, we have proven that dedication and professionalism time and again during the continuing health crisis of the COVID pandemic. In the spring of 2020, in the middle of the semester, we were able to successfully go from face-to-face to virtual class delivery in less than 2 weeks. Many instructors worked long days and evenings and weekends, learned and became proficient in the use of technologies they had never used, and still provided stellar academic experiences. On top of all of this, we managed to continue in our other duties to the profession and the college. This isn't surprising when one considers the quality of your advisors and instructors. Many instructors have received awards for their service and professionalism at the local, state, and national levels. Many are published within their fields, including yours truly. Many hold leadership positions within their fields. Indeed, it is no exaggeration that we are the heart and soul of this college. We are the ones responsible for achieving Butler Community College's mission. Given all of this, it is especially baffling and disappointing that President Kroll and the administration has, for the second time, declared impasse, depriving us of a timely and reasonable contract. After the travails of the past year and a half, This constitutes an abuse of the very people who matter most to our students. Indeed, it had been decades since contract negotiations had so broken down. Now, the last time impasse was declared, I optimistically told the Board of Trustees that I was confident we would quickly reach an agreeable solution, believing that all involved would be motivated by respect for the professional employees and the rational desire for good relations. We now know different. Question isn't whether the president and her administration are satisfied with yesterday's choice to declare an unreasonable impasse. Our question: are you satisfied with that choice? If you would like to hear a different perspective on the issues in question from what you've been told in executive sessions, the association leadership invites you to sit down with us at your convenience, not to negotiate, but to inform. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sater. We will move on. I don't think there was a finance committee meeting.
There was
No,
not.
there
Is
was
there
not.
any? Okay. Foundation board report. Anything there?
One item to talk about, it's actually part of one of the action items, so I'll just defer to Tom Borrego will address that in the course of the action.
Okay.
items. Nothing else.
KACCT. Martha.
Everyone has this in front of them. And also this, is this how yours came out with?
I didn't copy that
You
off
didn't copy it,
because
okay.
I thought you were just gonna jot down through those little bullet points and talk about it, but I can email that out to folks. if you
No,
want me
no
to.
problem. I can just read through it.
Yeah.
We all met in person in Hutch. There was, I would say, close to 50 people there from various colleges, trustees and presidents. I enjoyed meeting a lot of the new trustees and getting to know them. We had several issues, but the one that I really want to talk about is this free community college that the feds, especially the Democrats, are pushing. And it's the free community college, but it is not free. It would be a state match for tuition. And what we are going to take a stand on is that they increase the Pell Grant for all students. So you can read through this. It gives you all the details that you would want to know about the free college, but we all agreed it was not a good deal. Any other comments you want to make about that, Dr. Kroll?
No, I actually have a couple of little, I'll just give a couple of little updates in my report too,
Okay.
but that's pretty comprehensive. Heather Morgan has put that together and this is kind of a combination of information that she's gathered as she meets with her colleagues across the nation, with AACC people and ACCT people. And so these aren't just, like her opinions. So she's gathered that information from a lot of sources.
We also heard from Board of Regents Cindy Lane about her role as chairperson of the Governor's Education Council. We also heard from Representative Jason Probst about the upcoming legislative session. Some of the hot button issues he talked about were unemployment, the state budget, which is structurally imbalanced despite record revenues, the upcoming tax cuts, and the effects of poverty and how this is impacting people's decisions. The Promise Act, I asked him if he would go back and start talking about childcare for these people who are taking advantage of the Promise Act. I think the more we can do for families and higher education and providing some kind of childcare, whether it's a stipend, whatever, we need to look at. President of KACCT, Nancy Ingram, put us all into groups, and we had a little discussion in, I think there were 5 groups. I was with the president of Johnson Community College, Great Bend Trustees, president of Arc City, Callie. Just had a wonderful discussion. It was good, and I hope we get to continue to do those. And 2 days of meetings and talking, and that was about it. Any of you have any questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the report. And the president's report, Dr. Kroll.
Just a couple of things. Just a follow up on the free college. In our president's meeting last Friday on Zoom, Heather did indicate that it's starting to make its way through the House. It's the House reconciliation process has started, and free college has made the cut so far in those conversations. She said they also had added a Pell increase of $500, and which really we really again would rather see, rather than free college, see increasing the Pell Grant, because the whole perspective of this is really to create access for those students that have the most need, and increasing the Pell Grant is the way to help them the most. So there'll be more to come, and we'll keep you informed of it. It'll take some time to all kind of come together or not. The other thing that I want to tell you, because again, in the news is a lot of information about President Biden's plan for mandated vaccines. There's a lot of conversation about who that applies to. And certainly what you hear right now is that businesses that have more than 100 employees in place would have mandatory vaccines, but there's question about whether that's private business, whether it's just business in general. All of those things are, they're trying to sort those things out.
What do we do in the meantime?
We just wait.
I don't want to be sued.
Well, I don't want to be either, frankly.
I don't want to be sued. I've already been contacted. That's why I'm asking. So
there also is a question about, because part of that conversation is about the requirement that federal contractors fall in under this umbrella. And so there's a question about, because institutions receive federal financial aid, does that pull us in under that, umbrella in some form or fashion? There's also, a lot of discussion right now surrounding the impact on healthcare facilities and required vaccinations on hospital staff and nursing staff and volunteers and students that are part of clinical settings. And so
does Butler require all students to have those vaccinations?
They have it's the clinical agreements lots of times that require those vaccinations. There's a list of vaccines that are required for our students to serve in clinical sites. There's conversation, Caleb's been working right now on, how we apply COVID vaccine and what those requirements are for students and stuff. So
COVID included in
it is at this point, it's becoming part of that for some of those clinical sites at this point in time. But I think the point of my conversation right now is college-wide, for all of us, for our employees, we need more information.
That's exactly right.
We need more information. We need to see how this kind of plays out. It's going to get litigated, I'm
I would
sure.
expect there'll be all sorts of legal and political challenges to it. It'll
Right
And I
now,
still don't know the answer to the question. And the question I was asked is Butler County, the community college itself, going to require any of the nurses in clinicals or in the nursing program to be vaccinated if they go to any area hospitals, period? If they have the two reasons of medical or religious exemptions.
I can't answer that for you right now related to the exemptions. I know that we have had some recent discussion about those requirements for nursing students.
So we don't have any internal emails that have gone out saying that they have to have those vaccinations.
Dr. Cole, Caleb is
Oh,
here.
Caleb, you want to?
Caleb, do you mind speaking to that?
So right now, there has been an email that went out from me to students saying, preparing that this is potential. One of our sites is mandating it. We have not agreed on an exemption, anything yet. We're working through that process with the facility.
Which side is that, may I ask?
Ascension via Christie.
Okay, so they don't have an agreement yet.
we haven't came to an agreement with them of what we're going to do with the vaccination, if it's going to be mandated, if there's going to be an exemption that they provide, or we have to provide an exemption.
Okay, what about Wesley?
Wesley is, right now, the vaccine is not mandatory. It is up to the employees' choice at that time, but our students are not mandated to it.
But Via Christi, the jury's still out on that.
Yes.
And how do you personally feel this will go?
I think that puts Caleb in a difficult spot
It
as
just-
a leader in that
Whatever the
program.
hospital decides, I mean, that's
Do you
their.
have any clue how soon this is going to be happening?
I don't.
I'm
Thanks,
sure we'll be
Caleb.
kept informed. Caleb, thank you very much.
Okay. We continue to update our COVID website each week. And this week we have students, active cases. We have 20 students and 3 employees right now that are positive cases.
Could you repeat that again?
20 students and 3 employees. And again, everything's filtering through College Health. That doesn't mean that all 20 of those students are living on, I don't know which ones are living in the residence halls and which ones are students, you know.
Were
and
any of them
living-
vaccinated? You know?
I have no idea, Julie. We can't ask that question. College Health, maybe when they come in, if they test positive and they're willing to share that information, but we are not collecting that information as an institution from employees or students that I know of. College Health would be the one in some situations that may be asking those questions. We also have a vaccination clinic that's planned for, I forgot, for Thursday. Thank you, Caleb. 2 to 4 in the afternoon, I think, right? That's open to the public. Thanks. That answer questions?
That takes care of your report.
Yes.
Any questions for Dr. Kroll? If
Dr.
not,
Kroll,
oh,
I do. How often are you updated? Are you updated daily on the cases?
We update the website
The
each
website.
week on Monday. CIMT continues to meet on Friday mornings. And so I check the website on Mondays unless I have a question, I'll call Jamie, but I'm typically not checking every day. I just watch the website.
thank you. Education's facility report. Mr. Howe or Law,
We
anything?
didn't meet.
I'm not even sure when our meeting is.
We actually did not.
I know. So I don't know when our next one is, so.
It'll be next month.
Next month.
All right, so we will,
You did?
It is.
lots of
true.
things to do, yeah, a lot of things.
Yeah.
So there's no monitoring report tonight, so we will move on to the board strategic discussion items, which is the live fire training
Yeah.
prop.
So I'm just gonna introduce real quickly, Zach Lindsay's here, sitting in the back row there. And Zach's here to tell you a little bit about a vision and a plan that he and his team have developed to expand training opportunities for our students at the Fire Science Building and the existing training tower. The fire room that's part of that training tower now is really, really tiny. And so Zach and his team have put together a plan and have funding in place and everything to expand that, to expand training. And I copied off for you just the aerial view of that site so you can see it. So sorry, Zach. Zach's going to give us, have you been? Okay. Going to give us an overview, tell you a little bit about the vision and the opportunities that exist. And this would then be part of the board action items or on the consent agenda somewhere next month on the board agenda. So take it away, Zach.
I just want to first say how much of an honor it is for me to be here at Butler as your lead instructor for fire science. I started my education, my fire science education here at Butler when I was still in high school in 2003, time period 2002. And spent most of my fire service career in North Carolina. I've been out there for 17 years, and those 17 years I never spoke one word to my high school sweetheart. Well, now she's flying back here. So we got married, and so I graduated from Blue Stem. So from Butler County, I was born and raised in Eureka. So it's a real honor for me to be here in the fire service in Kansas, and especially at this college. So I wanted just to open it up with that, just so you all know that I'm completely dedicated to this fire science program. It means a lot to this area, and it means a lot to me. So what I want to talk about a little bit is we have currently, you've seen behind our 2600 building or behind El Dorado Fire Station, we currently have a 3-story training tower. And that training tower does a lot of great things for us. We can perform a lot of different rescue training, confined space, high angle rope rescue. It has a standpipe where we can perform high-rise operations inside of it. And again, it gives us a multi-level training site. However, that facility would be what you would consider in the fire service a clean training tower. And what that means is when you enter that training tower to perform different drills, you're not required to be an SCBA or full turnout firefighting gear, because there's no byproducts of combustion inside of that training tower, because we do not burn inside of it. We do not do live fire training inside of the actual tower portion. On the southeast corner of that tower, there is a small room that is closed off to the rest of the tower that we can light some fires in. However, it's a very small space. It's no bigger than, it's smaller than a bedroom would be. And there's no hallway getting to it. It's just a door to the outside in this small room. So imagine, if you will, you're a 19 or 20-year-old firefighter who I've tried my hardest to train you on every portion of firefighting I can. And your first day on the job at El Dorado Fire Department, Andover Fire Department, Augusta Fire Department, or even as a volunteer in Butler County, your first day on the job, you get a working structure fire in a 2-story residential structure with fire in 2 or 3 rooms of that 2nd story. You go in this fire and you've never felt the effects of what a fire feels like when you're inside of it. You've never felt the effects of real smoke giving you 0 visibility and you working yourself through that. You do not have the confidence built for that sort of emergency. Currently, we cannot provide our students with that experience. And I think that experience is vital for their safety when they leave this college. Because I don't teach them to pass the KU test to be certified as firefighters. I teach them to be firefighters. Because if you've ever been in a situation where you've heard a mayday come across the radio from a firefighter who's down, disoriented and lost, is one of the worst feelings you could ever feel in your life. And I personally, as lead instructor of the fire science program, cannot feel completely confident that I've given our students the best opportunity possible to succeed when they leave here. Now, we're doing everything we need to do as far as the practicals and everything like that. We're doing what we're supposed to. As far as real experience, I personally don't feel like I'm doing my job and can give them that experience. So this, we have proposed to add more Connex shipping container boxes in a 2-story live fire training prop that is kind of movable. It's not necessarily foundation to the ground. And so there's a bunch of design factors. We could get into an hour conversation about that. However, we've come up with a great plan. I feel like a safe working environment that's going to give that firefighter that experience to feel confident that they can go out and do their job when they leave here. So I'm open to any questions that you may have pertaining to the training facility.
You know, when that fire station was first constructed,
Yes,
there was some concern within the community because VG Products was there.
yes, ma'am.
And that fire station was there to help serve VG Products.
Sure.
So is this going to be, does VG Products know what you have planned?
They do not. And again, it wouldn't be any more unless there's been other conversations I don't know about. There would be no other hindrance for them to respond to any call, because obviously at Butler's side of it, we're strictly there for training.
Right.
And the firefighters that work there or oftentimes not even involved in our training efforts. So there would be no impact because we do not burn this facility. You cannot burn any flammable liquids in, and it's all Class A, either wood or straw or hay. There's nothing can be burned in there that is any more than a grass fire would put off. But it gives that live fire feel and smoke. Yes, ma'am.
Multiple stories,
Yes, ma'am.
correct?
2 stories.
Yeah. And the funding that's available, the funding that we would use, we can use it because this is considered classroom equipment. It's classroom equipment because it's mobile. There'll be anchors that will be placed in the cement, but if you needed to pick up those shipping containers and move them, or didn't want to use them anymore, you could do that. So the funding that we have available, we can use because it's considered classroom equipment. It's not a permanent structure, so.
I would also point out on that, the funding is a fraction of where we were with the tower because there's not as many components involved. So the funding and the budget for this prop is far less than the tower was.
My only concern is, I know some shipping containers you get, they're treated with chemicals.
Yes.
Toxic to humans. I assume you're on top of that.
Yep, absolutely. We have to follow. Oops, excuse me, I'm sorry. That's my reminder to check in on the students. We have to follow a national standard. Now, this is not law, nor is it regulation. However, it's a national standard that's put out by NFPA. 1402 is the standard for live fire facilities. And they have specific wording in here just for shipping container burn buildings.
No, I'm really bothered by what Mary Martha said. Not because I think you would ever deliberately pose a threat to that neighbor, but because I'm really big on transparency, and I think that it would be better if you would include them in what your plans are. That being said, I would rather you do that before you proceed.
You can do that.
Yeah, there's no issue at all. We, the El Dorado Fire Department and Butler have a great relationship with BG Products.
And I'm sure that you do. It just, it's unfortunate that it's so far over here from other departments. I think that Rose Hill would utilize it more. And I know that you offer it, but it's so difficult because it is so far.
Sure.
I know, because I drive over there.
Sure,
a
absolutely.
lot, so.
And that's another reason why this is important in this area, because not saying that we would not welcome Rose Hill with open arms, we absolutely would. However, the Leon Fire Departments, even El Dorado at best, Augusta, Potwin, the area fire departments on this side of the county don't have immediate access to Sedgwick County training facility or Wichita's training facility, where Rose Hill often goes, Andover often goes, because it is a lot closer for them. So they do go to Wichita, Sedgwick County.
I know it used to be over by Boeing, but I'm not aware where they is. Where it
Yeah,
is
it's
now.
so if you're taking the interstate south, almost right there before Spirit, you'll see it on the left.
I didn't think it was still there, but they tore
Yeah,
it all down.
absolutely, and it's thriving. They have exactly what we're talking about, the dirty burn facility and a clean fire tower to train on.
Well, I don't mind. I really don't mind supporting it.
Sure.
Because I did spend 20 years on the fire board from District 3 in Roseville, so I completely empathize with the importance of training. But I still think before you proceed, that you should get the blessing of.
Yeah, and that's a simple, I can make that contact tomorrow.
They also have
Says
worked
it.
really hard, and I put it in the TFA for you. They, Zach and his team have worked really hard with the city of El Dorado. El Dorado's contributing $7,500 towards the cost. So we're really pleased about that partnership. And so I don't know if the mayor had anything to do with that or not, but
That came out of
City
your
Commission.
pocket, didn't it? It was supposed to.
No, the city fire department and the city manager have gone through the process with Butler staff, and they're supportive of this in that area as well. It's what that area is zoned and slated to do.
Any other questions for Zach?
Absolutely.
Appreciate that.
Zach, thank
vision,
you
Zach.
very
Thank you
much.
for your time. Appreciate it.
We'll,
Thank you.
talk-
Insurance. Okay. You've already done that,
We
right?
have done that.
You've done that?
Yes, and we've passed all the, it's not going to add any other, because since we already do live fire training just in a smaller scale, it doesn't add any other additional, and it's not considered an actual building with no electrical or anything of that nature. We're setting fires in it, so the fire, there's no real insurance for it, to be honest, but other than student safety, our instructor safety, but that's already covered.
Thank you, Zach. We will move on to the culinary project and the foundation building lease. I think Tom is going to speak
We
to
have
that.
Tom and
Yeah, I think-
Rod Young.
Rod Young is joining us. He is the president of the foundation board currently and is also available for some questions. Next month, we'll be presenting a lease agreement with the college for the use of the new culinary building. The foundation is currently working on the construction of a new building out on 54 and east of Andover Road. The project committee has been working together with the college, the foundation, and our architect and general contractor to develop some designs. So things are starting to move, and it's kind of fun to watch. But there will be an agreement that will be presented to the board next month. This lease agreement will allow the college to use the building for a period of 10 years with the possibility of extending that if they'd like to for an additional 2 additional 5-year options. So there's an opportunity to have that lease as long as you'd like to have it. There's also an option to purchase if the college would like to do that at some point as well. So you will see that agreement. The amount that we're targeting for is really the budgeted amount that the college currently has in the past Boston Rec. So we want to keep that in line with that. We're finalizing our construction costs just to understand kind of what this building is going to cost us. And then looking at that lease to equal whatever the loan amount that the foundation has to take out to help finance a part of this project. So hopefully it'll be a wash and it will be no additional cost to the college. That's the goal. Rod, is there anything that I forgot to mention? So far, you're doing perfect. Okay. Okay. So you will see that document next month, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
You have numbers prior to, we generally get our packets like on Thursday last week. If you have numbers prior to that, it'd be nice. Email or something, so yeah, maybe better questions earlier.
Sure.
It'd be nice to meet you more prepared.
The actual, I think probably will the actual lease agreement be part of the board book?
It will be part of the board book. It will be filled in. We have the agreements ready to go with just some of those numbers that we need to plug in. But the terms of the agreement, we've shared that with the general counsel already just to get his feedback. And so we feel good on the terms and all of the language. It's just the numbers that we could plug in, and we'll know more of that here soon. Yes.
They may not be able to hear you, Julie. Put your microphone in. Just hang on to it. Leah. Thanks.
You've been with the foundation a long time, right? Couple years?
Yeah.
And I'm really new to the board. This is only my second year,
Yeah.
so I'm kind of learning here. But have we ever in your time with the foundation approved a lease prior to ground being broken?
The lease wouldn't go into effect until whenever you.
It doesn't matter about that. I'm asking if we've ever approved a lease purchase or a lease with the board on any building that we were going to rent or lease purchase prior to the ground even being broken.
Not that I'm aware.
We did in Garden City. We did a lease purchase before the ground was broke at
For
the
what?
college.
To the college?
Yes, but it was additions onto existing buildings.
So they weren't new.
They were additions.
Right, additions, yeah.
What's the concern?
I don't know, something like, it kind of reminds me of voting for a bill and not reading it. But that's just my take. I also was wondering, I've had some contact with Rose Hill School Board or the schools, and I I have not been able to find a lease purchase or a lease agreement for that new construction building there.
Let's talk about culinary right now.
I
We've got-
understand that, but
we got
I
Tom.
don't have any other opportunity during the board meeting to ask any questions because my chairman does not give us a place for that. So as we're talking about lease agreements in general, I would like to inquire about that. I was unable to get information.
Julie,
and I
we're
didn't see
talking
it on
about the
certificate.
culinary program right now. If you have
I know.
questions for Tom about culinary
I
or
didn't see
Rod
that
or anybody
certificate
else,
on the
that's
certificate.
perfectly fine.
But thank you, Tom. Appreciate the answer.
Other questions or thoughts as it relates to the culinary? I think it's a real good overview of where we're at with it anyway, and would expect more information for
Yep,
next
there's
month.
a timeline that's being developed. I know hard work that's happening, conversations happening with Andover folks, right?
Yep, there's a tight timeline. We're meeting weekly, sometimes twice a week to try to meet our deadlines. So it is a very busy schedule right now.
And did I hear the assumption is that the cost for that leasing and using that building for culinary is very similar, if not lower than what the
That is
Boston rec was,
absolutely,
correct?
that is our goal.
Thank you. If there's no other questions, we will move on to the legislative post audit report. I believe that is Dr. Kroll. Thank you, Rod, for being here.
Yeah, included in your board book is a copy of the Kansas Legislative Division of Post Audit Report. Representative Williams had requested a limited scope audit of just the Council Grove site. We had that request during the spring, I guess, or knew that it was coming forth in the spring, but finally had were contacted by legislative research folks early in the summer, I guess. It's been a confidential process the entire time. The report was presented to legislative post audit on the 30th, and so then it becomes a public report. The question that was posed was specifically, if the revenues for the college Council Grove site were sufficient to cover the site's expenditures. And so that site was isolated. As we've always done our reports for the sites, the Flint Hill sites, we tie Council Grove and Marion together because the staff works both sites. We have some adjunct faculty that, teach just at one site or the other, but there's a lot of integration, a lot of kind of commingling of the work that happens between those sites. So this was just a look at very specifically Council Grove. And so the report is in here when they did the report when Chris Clark did the report out to post audit, talked just a little bit on page 11 about the college and the process. We used fiscal year 2019 because 20 was COVID and everything was disrupted during 2020. So we used 2019 as that year of study. And worked really well with the research staff. KBOR was involved a little bit, and then a lot of time on the Butler staff side. And so, really looked at the revenues and expenditures down to the detail. Page 12 identified the expenditures and revenues. And I think just to point out a couple of different things for you, there are no full-time faculty at the Council Grove site. There's one class that's taught by a credentialed high school faculty member, and the rest are taught by Butler adjunct who teach at other sites as well. The revenues that are listed there are only the revenues that we could identify very specifically for that site. So the tuition and fees, the state aid for tiered and non-tiered, and the state aid for Excel&CT. There are a lot of there are other revenues that get commingled with college funding or departmental funding that are not isolated to these specific sites. And so, for example, the students at this site would pay a registration fee, a $15 registration fee each semester. The year that we looked at, those 200 students that were there would have paid a registration fee of $15 each semester. So on an annual basis, that would have added $6,000 more in revenue, just in registration costs. that funding doesn't get assigned necessarily to Council Grove. It just gets commingled in our overall budget. Same way with the Excel, the allied health classes that are taught there. Those students pay a course fee for those classes, but that goes back to the departmental level. It doesn't get assigned just to that site. So there's some revenues that, you know, that wouldn't show up here just because of the way that, because they're not assigned to specific sites. By the same token, there would be some expenditures that would be commingled, potentially because we provide administrative oversight for all of our sites. And, you know, there may be, you know, work that accounts receivable does that, you know, doesn't show up specifically at this site just because that's the way college operations are. So what this report identified was that there was about $11,000 deficit in revenues under expenditures. But again, you know, there were some, you know, some revenues that, you know, you couldn't necessarily assign to this site or identify in this site. The report really goes on to talk very specifically about the, you know, the state aid and the funding that's available, talked about the two different types of, really the types of state aid that came across for tiered and non-tiered, and then funding that's assigned just to the Excel and CTE classes. Because we are not funded, because the state doesn't fund us at 100% level, tiered and non-tiered. In this year, in 2019, this report identified very specifically that in that year, the gap for this college was 26.5% for non-tiered, and those are the gen ed classes, basically when they say non-tiered, and was 14.3% gap underfunded for the tiered classes. And so that means we received only 73.5% on the non-tiered side and just about 86% on the tiered side. And the conversation with the Regents staff was that the community colleges have never been completely funded. When they changed the legislation in the early 2000s and eliminated the out-district tuition that was paid by all of the other counties, and that funding source, the state said, we'll go ahead and roll that funding into the state funding formula. We've never been funded at 100% level. There's always been a significant gap, and it varies from year to year because it depends on enrollment and it depends on the courses that are on the Excel and CTE list and the ones that are on the tiered funding side. And so it'll change from year to year, but we've always been underfunded. And on the Excel and CTE side, that was the governor's, you know, career and tech initiative. That's been in place 10 years now, and there have been 3 years of those that Excel and CTE has not been fully funded. And I didn't go back and look at the years. I don't think that 2019 was not one of those years. I don't believe, but 2020 was. So anyway, we followed up with our response, of course, and had an opportunity to address this. The legislative post audit didn't make any recommendations, but one of the things that I think really stood out in this report was that if we were funded at, you know, 100%, we would have actually received $122,000 from the state for just that site, which would have been expenditures, revenues higher than expenditures of almost $21,000. The conversation that, you know, that really kind of followed we were at the very end of all of the reports. There were 5 reports that morning, and so we were really at the very end, and so not a lot of time to discuss and not a lot of time to provide feedback. But Representative Williams was asked, you know, if you could solve the problem, what would your solutions be? One of the representatives, I think it was Representative Miller, maybe asked her. And she said, well, there would be, you know, 3 options. The one obviously is that this is a local control issue. This is a decision that's made at the local control, and boards are elected. And so you resolve these things sometimes through elections and who gets elected to the boards. She also identified that there's a statewide solution. The community colleges, the the 19 community colleges in the 18 counties receive a total of 260 million in tax revenues from taxpayers in those 18 counties. And she said the state isn't going to, she doesn't believe that the state would turn around and add $260 million to their budgets to support the community colleges in that way, even though all of our tax dollars go to support the universities. We pay the bill for the universities, all the taxpayers do. So she identified that as one of the solutions. And then she also identified that there would be opportunities to look at efficiencies and see consolidation that could take place to create some solutions. She asked how many years we had been in Council Grove, and I didn't know that number off the top of my head, but I sent that information to Chris Clark at Legislative Research the next day. And the first lease that we can find with Council Grove was in 1998, I believe. That service area has been assigned to us since the 70s. That doesn't mean we don't have documents that say that we've leased anything prior to 1998, but that doesn't mean that we haven't been serving that area through the high schools or whatever since that period of time. We're fairly certain that we have. But the employees that are there that were assigned specifically to Council Grove that we looked at, we have 2 part-time employees that work 10 hours or less. The staff that are there are responsible for not just serving Council Grove, but they serve Hope, White City, and what's the third one? Heather? Council Grove. Yeah, Council Grove's the third one. So they serve those high school students in those areas. So again, that they create access for those students through the work that they do. And again, when we look at these sites together, if we had looked at Council Grove and Marion together, it would have been different because we're at Marion High School. We pay $6,000, I think, a month, or not a month, but a year on an annual basis to be at Marion, and that pays for internet, utilities, and all of that sort of stuff. And some of the staff split their time between those sites. And so when we've looked at the Flint Hills, we've looked at those sites as being together. So I just wanted to put this in front of you so that it's out there. Representative Williams did note that even though the service areas are assigned and in cable regulation, that it did not require any of the institutions to have physical locations. That was not part of the requirement, but that was a decision that was made, by the institutions individually. I was prepared to offer some comments, didn't have the chance to do that. But this work that we do in our service areas is important work. It creates access for students. It creates opportunity. It generates enrollment for us, obviously, and it generates state aid. And if we were not in those service area sites and didn't serve those high schools, somebody else would do it. And so we would not gain that enrollment. We wouldn't create access for those students. That doesn't eliminate our opportunity. Well, and this is the first year also now that K-12 budgets have received funding for concurrent enrollment, to help with concurrent enrollment. So this creates an opportunity for us to have deeper conversations with our high school partners about their ability to help fund. Could give us an opportunity potentially to go back to our partners in those communities and see what resources they might have to help, help sustain our work that we do in the high schools and in those communities. And so, it was a good study. We appreciated legislative research staff and the work that we did. It was way more, it was much more time consuming than legislative research thought and what we thought to begin with. It took a lot more time, but it was a good dig into information. So
I have a question.
Sure.
My first question would be, you said there's like one staff person that teaches from up in that area?
There's one, well, no,
And the
there's,
rest comes from,
there's one high school faculty member that's credentialed that teaches, I don't know how many classes. Heather, can you help me with
I
that?
believe it was just one class.
One
that
class.
In this particular academic year.
Yeah.
It changes
Yeah.
depending on the
and
course
where do the
demand.
rest of the teachers come from?
Well, they probably live in that
They're
area.
adjuncts. The
They're
difference
adjuncts
is that there's two options for concurrent and dual credit enrollment. So there's classes taught by a high school credentialed instructor, and we pay the school district that adjunct rate of pay. The second option is we supply an instructor through whether they're an adjunct full-time. So all the instructors are paid at the adjunct level. One of those instructors in this particular study was a high school teacher that's credentialed.
I'm just wondering how many of our staff are going up there as far as mileage and things like that, or if we're able.
There is no mileage
Local.
included in that. It's adjuncts from that area.
Okay.
And if they choose to, and we don't pay their mileage if they choose to commute.
Couple questions.
Go ahead,
On
Shelby.
page 12, it says revenues, tuitions and fees. Are those fees like forever, this other students pay as scholarship fees? Would that revenue stay at Council Grove, or is that kind of general fund? Other fees?
These are the fees that we could identify that were specifically tied to the courses taught there. So those tuition and fees don't go back into the Council Grove budget, they get integrated into the overall budget, but we could identify that based on the credit hours taught at that site, that's the student tuition and fees that were generated there. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
No, you're all right.
It's the regular tuition and fee rate that you approve each March. We just took that amount for each of the residence categories times the number of credit hours. And so it was real straightforward.
Right. But I was just curious if some of those, like if they go to football scholarship, that money doesn't really stay as a revenue in Council Grove. It comes here donated over. That stuff.
Well, the money's all, the revenue's all pooled together. It's just broken out here to allocate it so that we could have a comparison with the expenditures from that location.
Okay. And also on the Marion site, how does that compare to Council Grove? Is it similar in Marion, bigger, smaller?
No, I think it's smaller.
Bigger and smaller in terms of what exactly? Enrollment
Revenue
or?
generated, enrollment. credit
I
hours?
would have to look. I would say course-wise, I think they're pretty balanced. But I mean, like Dr. Kroll shared, the lease agreement that we have with Marion High School is significantly less
Right,
because,
for sure.
but I could get that information. I mean, this was looking at 2019 because it was a non-COVID year, but.
My only question is like, I like that we're finding out more data, and that's what we asked last year repeatedly for Council Grove, and I can give you all guys a copy. This is what was given to us last year. We were told that Council Grove and Marion combined was a $402,000 in revenues, $266,000 in expenses, and we made a profit of $135,000.
That was a different type of study than this one.
Well, I understand,
So-
but that's what we presented. Now it's like, well, it's an $11,000 loss. I'm just
Well,
saying
I
it's
think-
nice to get more data. And I just want to
Yeah,
tack
but-
that on to our conversation we had before about the BKD or whoever we use for the software coming up. I would like to still see that. I haven't been presented with our opportunity to pursue a company that'll provide us this analysis software so we can find out more data about everything, and we could have better informed decisions and more accurate, precise stuff is what I'm looking for.
Right.
We did
And so I
approve
think
that
it's
this year,
important for you,
didn't we?
it's important for you
We're
to
still
know,
waiting on
again, that the reports that we
information.
have
Yeah.
done were, this was way, way, way more specific. I mean,
Oh, I
it was
understand.
down to
I'm
the
not complaining
actual.
at all. It's like when we
yeah.
asked for McConnell and I was finally told, well, we lost 200 grand. And then you guys really dug into it and you're like, well, it's only like 7 grand or a very small number. It was two different numbers. It's
Now,
just-
that was a very different
Right. I'm just
situation.
saying the
'cause
more,
things
the
were
more
coded
accurate
differently.
numbers I appreciate. And if we can continue to move in that direction, it would help everyone make better decisions. I'm not complaining about
No,
the
I just,
study or.
I want to defend the difference in those numbers, because when we came back to you with the McConnell information the second time, We told you that we had gone back through and we had rechecked and done a deep dive on how the faculty and the staff were assigned. And we updated everything so that it was completely accurate and things were coded the right way. That first information that we had provided to you did not have that level of accuracy. And so I don't want that. I don't want it publicly to sound like we're bluffing our numbers or we're switching things. I want people to know that we came back with more detailed and more accurate and more updated information so that you would have the right numbers that you had
That's
requested.
what I'm trying to express. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
But
I think we
the
bought
more
some
accurate we
software,
can be,
didn't
the
we?
better.
We have not yet. What I reported to you last month about the BKD software, or I emailed it to you, was that Kim had indicated that they are still trying to make sure that that's the right software from BKD to purchase. They have not had time to dig into it any further because they're doing the audit right now. And so they just don't have enough time, haven't had enough time to work on it, but it's on the list for continued review, and we're hopeful it's on the list for use of PERF funding to purchase it.
That's great. Do we have a work session scheduled at the end of this month?
We do.
Could we maybe get a demo into that?
I can see. We also need to talk about strategic plans, so we'll see what we can.
Yeah,
I mean,
Let's try
the
to stay
auditors are
on
busy right now, so
topic
we'll
with,
see.
Dr. Cole, I'm curious, were there any other community colleges with satellite locations that were asked to
No.
do any kind of audit like this? or was
No,
it
there were
just
not.
Butler?
Nope, just Butler and just the Council Grove site.
Could I make one, just this, what you just handed out? This is that combination that Dr. Kroll was talking
Right,
about.
the two schools.
Right.
But I was just looking at.
So
like,
it's
if-
not that,
No, I'm
we're
just- that's-
saying, hey, we don't operate a certain way, and then the report came
Right,
out and said
but if
differently.
you took
They were
these
just
numbers
combined.
and Marion, there's no way you can come up with those numbers. It's too far of a difference between those numbers.
We don't know that because we haven't studied that.
No, but I mean, you could look at what that says and it'd be impossible unless we're like 90% profitable at Marion.
I
No
don't think that's a fair statement to make that statement, Shelby, until we would look at those together and dig into that and study the combination of Council and Council Grove and Marion together in the way that this post audit happened. This is a different level of study than what this one was. And so I'm not sure that that's a fair characterization until we would, if we would do a similar
Well,
study.
If it's
Well, I
apples
think
to
the only thing
apples,
fair to say
you would
is
be
that-
saying that Marion made $145,000 in profit last year in 2019. Council Grove lost 10,000. Those numbers aren't going to come out to that no matter what you do. I'm just saying this was a ballpark guesstimate. That's fine. I understand the extremely granular data analyze stuff here is much better to base our business from, and this is great. I'm not mad that this was provided to me. I'm just saying more precise data we get, the better we'll be moving forward. I'm not trying to cause a kerfuffle.
Which
Any
brings
other-
me back to the software question. I understand you've got audits, you've got commitments, you've got this, you've got that, but the thing is, we need those demos at a work session. So if I can invite the auditors, because that's where I heard we had already approved a program to buy from them. They were gonna provide it, blah, blah, blah. That's what I thought we approved. So I would like for you to invite them for a 20-minute, 15-minute, 5-minute, 30-minute, whatever demo, but I'm requesting it. I would really like to see the demo.
I'll certainly visit. Nothing's been approved at this point in time. Nothing's been officially approved. We've
Just need to
talked.
get on this road with it is all. That's all. And I understand, Kim, and believe me, I appreciate these numbers and I understand that audit was probably a struggle and you didn't really plan for it in your daily operations. But the bottom line is Shelby is totally right. We need better numbers. We don't get them. We've been promised this for a long time and
Let's
it's
stay
2
on
years into my
topic with
term, and I
the
really want some
audit
better
report,
numbers.
Julie.
So
Is there any other questions or comments specific to the audit report that's in the board book? If not, we will move on to the next topic for discussion, which is the core requests. I think this was a topic that came up, Mary Martha, from the
Yes.
meeting you'd had recently.
So I want to talk, I want to visit with us and just don't interrupt for a little bit. So during our KACCT meeting, I asked about core request. And they said that they provide a list to the trustees at every meeting who submits one and for the purpose. Thought that's great. So I came back and I talked with Dr. Kroll and I asked her to get me the core request for maybe the last 3 years. So she provided 19, 20, and 21. Now, so in 19, we had 9. In 20, we had 9. And to this date, we have 27. I go back to the Attorney General's website and look at core requests because it's taking up a lot of time of our salaried employees to find this information. And we can charge, we can also charge per copy. I realize that some of you are still upset about when you asked for information about McConnell and it was not provided to you in a timely fashion. But I think we need to move past this because some of this is not, I think this is too much for our staff to be doing all the time. We're taking up too much of our salaried employees' time to do this. Even if it was an hourly employee, I don't think an hourly employee would want to dig up this information. We'd have to teach them, show them where to get it. So I would just like to say, can we kind of go down on the core requests and maybe just call Dr. Kroll and say, Dr. Kroll, could you provide this information to me in a timely fashion?
Shelby, do you think that you've gotten information in a timely fashion all the time since you've been aboard?
The last one I presented, well, let's go back to the first one. I asked for McConnell, Council
We've-
Grove.
Okay,
Shelby, we-
No,
wait,
you
wait,
said
wait.
no interruptions. Don't interrupt him,
Just-
please.
I'm gonna be very brief. I'm not upset about anything. But I made repeated, polite, as polite as it could possibly be a request, 6, 8 emails over a month's period, no response. In public, I was told I would not, Dr. Kroll would not provide me those numbers without providing me a story. I had no idea that CORE existed. And then it's like, oh, I can write the letters KORA, and then I'll be given my data. I do it very seldomly when I need it. But this important data to have so we know how to run this institution. And like my last one I filed, we had our meeting and then a work session, then a meeting went up on YouTube. I said, hey, work session didn't pop up. What's happening there? I sent 2 polite emails and then there was 4 or 5 days of no response. I'm like, hey, here's a 4 for response for that.
And I
was
even got
repeatedly-
dinged for a core request on one of your emails because I tracked one of
Right,
your
right.
emails. So I
didn't
mean,
know
I
that was
got,
the follow-up was a 4. But,
yeah,
I mean, it's a
I understand.
procedure to get information from tax-funded, paid, taxpayer-funded government institutions. Like, this is how I legally request it.
And I am truly sorry that you did not get that in a timely fashion, but I believe that they found some errors that needed to be corrected. And I wish now that communication would have been open and honest and transparent. But folks, some of this does not need a court request.
I'll be honest with you. I feel like I went for an entire year and didn't write any core requests. And so I told Shelby last December, I said, you know what, Shelby, I have tried and tried. And I cannot. And then when I ask again and again and again, somebody had the audacity to say, well, why didn't you ask for that to start with? If I asked for an entire policy of our insurance, do you really think that just because I say I want to look at the disclosures, that that's obligating me to only want to look at those 3 pages or 5 pages on that policy? No, I want to look at the whole policy and I don't owe anybody an explanation as to why I want to see that. And I'm not going to get emotional about this, but those are readily available records. There is no time required other Hunt and Peck. That's all you got to do is take all that together and send it to me electronically. Just like this board book, you know, forget the mail post office, but for crying out loud, what's wrong with sending the board book emailed? Really, is there a problem with
Julie,
that?
We're gonna
No,
stay
we're
on
not
topic.
gonna.
You know, we are. We're
You're
gonna
gonna
stay on
talk about-
topic
you know
with
what?
core requests. We're not gonna talk about the board
We're
book.
gonna talk about.
And
core
the
requests
insurance
because
stuff
I've
was
had to talk
provided
about it.
every way that you asked for it.
Finally, after
it was
months and
done.
months and months.
And we're not gonna talk about the board book. It's
Anytime
been
it's not
decided by the
something you wanna
board
talk about,
that we're
we
gonna
don't
do it
talk
on
about it.
SharePoint.
But
And we're
happy
gonna provide it
retirement
in the
from this
mail.
board, Mr. Chair.
via Tim.
Because I'm
So-
glad.
You know, you really don't need to be that rude.
Oh, I'm very rude
He's
when it
trying
comes to being
control the meeting
interrupted.
So we can move the meeting.
Okay,
along
well, you
and
wanna
follow
talk
the
about
agenda.
these
Mr. Chairman, I
Mary
request
Martha.
that Dr. Kroll provide us a list every month of core requests from now on.
Do that. Did you get a record
Happy
request
to do
from Mary Martha
For what?
for all the core requests?
No, she
I
just.
don't want a
she
core,
just-
provided a call to you and you gave it to her.
She called and asked if we could add an agenda item because it was based on discussion that they had at KACCT. It was within reasonable period of time so that we could prepare for it.
And you didn't have to go through the chair?
I
I
went through
did.
the chair and
I
Dr.
talked to-
Kroll.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just
I
making
am
sure that
respectful of
everybody's
both of
treated
them.
equal. Want to make sure that everybody got the same view. So if you answer a question that she asked for as far as a core request, I want it sent out to all the board members.
I gave you
So-
everything she asked for right
In
here,
this,
Julie.
yes,
This
in
is what
this.
she asked for.
Okay. Well, you could have sent
This
it in an
is-
email.
I,
You didn't
I-
have to include it in this board,
No,
but I
she-
like this format. Every month
she-
you should include. it.
Stop being so condescending. Stop.
she
You know what?
asked
That's your
for-
word, not mine.
She asked for it as a discussion. She asked for it as a
That's your-
discussion item, Julie, and so we added it to the agenda.
Stop being
Let's
so
not do this in
let's-
public.
let's-
This is-
Point of
No,
order.
it should be in public because everybody should see what's going on here and
And
see how
everybody should
crazy
see
this is.
all of these core requests that I have put in here because I didn't have a choice. It's really disgusting that a trustee has to resort to their 3-day rule on open records.
I did just have a clarifying point. Just hit me.
Sure.
Sorry, Martha. So let's say I ask politely for counsel. I'm to be provided it. I expect it to be provided to me.
Yes.
I didn't expect it in 3 days, but what's the labor difference of having core in the title versus just being provided?
To me, 27 cores and we're in
Well,
the,
I get the big numbers. I'm just
Okay.
saying, if I'm going to be given the data by someone anyway, I'm not putting undue burden on somebody by writing for it. I would prefer not to and give you more than 3 days. Like, this is some information. Tonight I asked, last month I asked, what are the 20-day numbers on culinary and enrollment in general compared to last year? I asked that again today. Hey, if we have time, we can discuss it. I would like that. That wasn't a core request. It's just the same information.
I gave you and we gave you the culinary numbers last month.
I would ask for the official 20-day numbers.
We don't have the official ones yet because we haven't hit 20 days
It has
yet.
to be
But when we
September
get,
20th.
when we get to, to.
September
to-
20th is D-Day.
Oh, that's 20 days since we started.
No.
No, 20th.
No, we don't have
It's for
those
all
numbers
schools.
yet. But when ESOM goes through his information towards the end of the month, he can give you whatever update we have.
When do you have to send those to Kate?
The 20th day.
Okay.
It's the
That's funding
20th class
day.
That's when they're due.
Any other
That's when we do
questions?
the- ESOM can explain
regarding
when
the-
we get to the supplemental information.
Moving right along, Mr. Chair.
Moving on to the board action items. The approval of the symmetry settlement agreement. Kent is going to speak to that. We've been updated on that.
I don't know if you have any questions on that. I think you're pretty well up to speed on it. I'd be happy. Go ahead.
There was one thing that came on the news today, the Attorney General is looking at like, hey, you guys just violated Kansas law.
Yes.
Do we go ahead and settle right now? Or are we giving up future litigation if we give them this $39,000 or whatever
That's
it
a
was?
big thing that just
Or do
came
we
out.
just wait, like, you guys might have violated Kansas law, we're not gonna pay you a dime over what we should have. Because it just happened today, so who knows what is gonna happen. I just don't wanna pay 39 grand if it costs us.
Well, your choices are to go ahead and take this and
Uh-huh.
accept it, or take your chances otherwise.
Yeah.
What's our deadline, Kent? Do we have to accept this to be part of the settlement?
It's the end of this month.
September 30th.
So this is your last chance at a board meeting to approve it tonight.
We could address it at the work session, could we not?
You can't. I mean, we would have to turn
We'd
it
have to
into
make
a
it a special
regular
meeting.
board, a special board meeting.
I'm for that.
I don't know anything about what Mary Martha and Shelby are talking about, but to me, that.
I'm trying to find it right now.
I mean, I would think that we need Ray's input on.
He's been involved in
But is
all
he,
of
is he
this.
aware though of what's going on at the governor's level? That's my only question, because I didn't know about it.
Is it
Are they referring to the fact, well, I guess I don't know because I haven't heard the news. Are they referring to the fact that this agreement, this settlement agreement's been reached by KASB and a number of schools and them, as opposed to the individual institutions going out on their own and litigating and.
That's what this
is
is.
that-
But I assume if we sign this, I assume we give up all future litigation.
Correct.
We
I
do,
mean, that would be part of it.
we do.
Which, I mean, without knowing what the governor, it might be something that the AG has a right of action against these guys, and it doesn't mean that
Because we never
private
knew
entities have
better
a right of
till
action.
today, and we still don't know today. They were just talking about it today. And this, to me, honestly, this isn't that big of a number.
But in a week, we might know something firm.
Does it impact the Wood River agreement at all, Kent, if we waited?
And we need to prove that. That's separate.
That's separate, okay. Other questions or comments on the approval? If not, if we want to wait, I guess we just won't have a motion. If somebody wants to make a motion, we can do so.
We'll have a forum on the 30th, whatever.
What would be the,
Make it a
It's the
special meeting.
4th.
I mean,
Let me- I'll look at
I
the
can't
calendar.
imagine anything will be resolved in 10 days from now.
It'll be the 27th. So,
that would give us the time, to- if there is any changes, for Ray to have some input
So
on it, but
should
as
I make
long,
a motion to table the item, or do we need to take any
we
action?
we just
Yeah,
don't
make the
take any
table.
action
We'll just
on
table
it tonight. If we want, unless somebody wants to make a motion
Okay.
to
No,
do
you
it,
need to
we.
address it on the 30th.
it's the
27th,
27th.
27th, so that we won't miss our deadline.
Very good.
Mo- Moving on to item B, the approval of the K-Jump with Wood River Natural Gas Contract. Again, Kent.
Yeah, again, K-Jump was the consortium through the Kansas Association of School Boards that we previously used. K-Jump's actually going to go away. They have a new consortium. And it's basically through the Kansas Association of School Boards. And they have negotiated this agreement with Wood River. We think it's the way to go. It's $4 or $4.20-some. The national average right now is $4.65. And this is a fixed rate that's locked in, so we won't have these anomalies coming up. So we recommend that you do approve the Wood River agreement.
And Kent, what did we pay last year? Or 2 years ago before the cold front? What was it?
Well, the average, as Lynn told us, the average last year for gas was around $2.91.
Wow.
But if you put in the February bill, made it an average of about $9.
Wow.
So gas prices have just gone up.
Yes. Mhm.
Any questions or comments at all for Kent? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the agreement.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded to approve the Kansas Energy Management Program member participation and agency agreement. Heather, if you can call the roll.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Law,
Yes, that was quick.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Luckenberg,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Howell,
Yes.
Trustees.
Yes.
Motion passes. 7-0. And so moving on to the approval of the Reese Nichols agreement for the real estate.
Right, the Reese Nichols agreement is in the board book. This is, we've worked on this really since March, I think, was when we first started talking about this, John Rupp with Reese Nichols will assist us in marketing and the sale of the 9100 building. We will be able to, identify that timeline. We've talked about this for quite a while, with the renovation of the 5000 building. We've moved all of the classes out of that site and into the 5000 building. We've moved the offices into the 5000 building. This corner on 21st and Andover Road is pretty prime development property, and think that there's some good opportunities to sell that site. Part of our conversation has been a process to make that happen. He's talked about the benefit of doing initially a reserved sealed bid auction that gives us the opportunity to decide whether we want to accept the high bid or not. But it gives us an opportunity to identify what potential buyers or developers think that property is worth. But it gives us an option to reserve whether we want to say, yeah, we'll sell it for this price or not. So that's probably the first step. And then secondly, if we didn't, have a favorable bid that we liked there, then we would go for public auction. So anyway, he's ready to start to market and move forward, and we can help develop a timeline to make that happen. So I would ask your approval of this agreement, and so we can move forward with this.
I
I would entertain a motion. What's that?
I would entertain a motion I would move that we, I would move that we approve this.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the agreement with John Rupp and Reese Nichols. Is there any discussion?
I just have one question. Do you have any idea what the commission percentage is?
It's
a
in here.
percent, I know.
It's 10%
I couldn't-
higher premium, I think.
It's in here.
Yeah,
It's at the
that's what
top
it
of
said.
page 66, Julie.
Thank you.
Other questions at all?
He builds that into the buyers.
Trustee
Yeah,
Good?
I thought that's. what it
Yes.
was.
Trustee Law? Trustee Rhodes?
Yes.
Trustee Lechtenberg?
Yes.
Trustee Winslow?
Yes.
Trustee Howell?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Moving on to the purchase of the culinary program food truck.
Foundation has secured $65,000 money for vehicle additions. Vehicle colors and other design. So we asked the
I would entertain a motion to approve the bill of
I so
sale.
move we approve this
Second.
purchase.
Moved and seconded to approve the purchase of the 1998 Chevy P30 food truck. Any questions or discussion?
I think Shelby wanted it parked out here like a month from now, right? Or something?
Every meeting.
Every meeting.
My only thing is, the way you presented this to us as the foundation, I agree with 100%. Hey, we've got some money. Here's a vehicle. We'll give you the money. You buy the vehicle, you put it in your name. That's the problem I've had with the culinary. Is like, we're not being said, would you guys like to build a building? Here's some money. It's like, we're building a building, and if you would like to lease it, then you can. It's kind of the opposite approach, but I appreciate this one very much.
This is going to be a great billboard.
Can't wait.
It'll be fun.
Be super
exciting.
Yeah. And
I
there's
hope they really utilize it.
I
hope
think it will be.
It's
plan
kind of a
to-
new trend a little bit.
Well, really, I think it's really out front. I do. I think it's very progressive.
There's a number of students that leave the program that have plans to be caterers or to do food trucks or something like this. And so it gives us a perfect opportunity to help train them from a business perspective, not only the cooking piece, but a business perspective, and understand how that operation all works.
Where's
It's
this thing
decked
gonna be
out.
parked at night?
Well,
I'm just saying,
The
I've
work
got a-
site,
I've got
the
a
job
full-size
site.
School bus I would sell cheap. If
No.
Somebody wants another.
do you,
food
well,
truck.
if you will go ahead and
Deck it out
refit
with-
the inside of it with a kitchen, with all the kitchen stuff that this one has, we probably would look at that.
Has it got indoor booths too, or just?
No, it's, I mean, there's no seating area. It's all kitchen area, but it's pretty amazing. Yeah.
When do you think it'll be done?
Well, we'll wrap it.
just
I
gotta
mean, they're
wrap it.
working on the wrap design, I think, right
As
now.
soon as we get approval from the board, we'll then proceed with the wrap schedule.
Oh,
And
so
get
it'll
it
be done
wrapped.
tomorrow.
So it may be-
We'll go ahead
it's gonna be
and
white right now.
call the
Okay.
roll. Heather?
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Law,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Luckenberg,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Howell,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Still wanna
Um,
see it parked outside.
We will move on to the approval of the
will.
Adobe Creative Campus and Adobe Sign.
So I'm gonna turn that over to, I think, Dr. Neville. You want to talk about Adobe Creative?
Yeah,
Campus
sure.
or Adobe
Yeah,
Creative Sign?
I'd love to talk about it. This is an opportunity for us here at Butler, really to join 48 other institutions around the country, actually around the world, to be a strategic partner through their Adobe Creative Campus initiative. And what this does, it allows our students to have access to the Adobe Creative Cloud for free. We will provide it to them for free. Currently, our faculty and staff have this access. Students that need to use this software in their courses currently have to come to campus, log into a computer, and when their class is over, they don't have access to these resources anymore. But part of this becoming a partner with Adobe in this initiative is it's going to really help prepare our students for these in-demand digital skills jobs across all industries and careers. We're really living in a digital economy and a digital world these days. So digital literacy, digital fluency, and digital agility are essential to preparing our students for future careers and really their livelihoods. It also enables, provides an opportunity for our faculty to engage in new learning experiences across all curriculum. It also equips our staff and administration to serve our campus community through digital workflows that haven't been possible. And it also differentiates our brand, right, through a comprehensive marketable commitment to innovation and digital transformation. So this is an opportunity for us to stand out. We would be the first institution in Kansas to be a Adobe Creative Campus. With if you're not familiar with Adobe, they're one of the leading software companies in the world. So they bring their marketing resources along with this, their professional development resources, and our technical support as we might need those. So it's a wonderful partnership. Worked with Adobe before and other institutions, and it's really a game changer for our students, but also is a differentiator for us and an opportunity for us to drive and continue to lead, at least in the state, as leaders in higher education.
So I would entertain a motion to approve the agreement.
So moved.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Is there any questions or
Yeah, I have a
discussion?
Is this based on users? Is this the 15,000 number on page 77? These photocopies are hard to read.
Yeah, so it's a shared license, individual license agreement, right?
So there's 15,000
I'm sorry.
licenses over 3 years.
No, I'm sorry. So the piece that you're looking at is Adobe Sign. So there's two pieces to this.
Okay.
One is the Adobe Creative Campus, which gives all Adobe products to our students. The Adobe Sign is for 15,000 signature transactions, which for a college our size is about right annually. So that's, I can create electronic signature stuff so that we can create those
DocuSign
work. That's what
stuff.
Adobe Sign is. I'm
So
sorry.
this isn't per user, it's just a.
No, now if you look
whoever goes
down,
to Butler gets to use it.
that's correct. If you look down on page 78, at the top of page 78, the 7,200 is our user license per semester at this point.
Do you anticipate most all the students using this, or is this just like certain programs will use it more?
Well, this would be available to all students, and as we roll this out across all disciplines, this of course would give our high school students access as well. And I think there's an important area to look at. The whole state of Utah, K-12 became an Adobe Creative Campus. So every student, K-12 in the state of Utah has access to these tools. So we're seeing this at a national level. And for us to be ahead of that ball, ahead of the curve right now, getting out in front of this here at Butler is going to be a strategic move, I think, going forward. And it's a 3-year commitment. So if we don't see adoption at the level that we would like, we can always, just move on to something else. I don't see that happening. It also is embedded in the partnership with Microsoft 365. So, and with Canvas, our LMS, it's really an ecosystem that will be, I think, very well received by folks here at the college.
It seemed great to me. I'm just personally getting exhausted by how much software we're constantly purchasing and paying for.
This is not the end.
No, I know, it's just.
That's right.
So I may vote no.
That's the
just
world
me,
we
'cause
live
I'm-
in. Yeah, absolutely.
I get it.
Yeah, so I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
To Tom's, Dr. Neville's point earlier, we talk about digital agility, digital fluency. Moving into the workforce, the business world, the 2 biggest productivity suites are Microsoft Office and Adobe. We currently utilize Microsoft 365, so the Microsoft Office suite. Being able to add Adobe to our portfolio for students to be able to use outside of the classroom as well really does create an environment where we can promote that agility for those students between those pieces of software. I agree with you, Shelby, that software's, we're always
Never
talking
knew,
about
actually.
this, and software's not cheap. The challenge that we have today with the Adobe setup that we have today, students can sit in the classroom and do their work in the Adobe platform in our labs, but when they leave, they can't. And it's really the Adobe licensing in general is cost prohibitive on an individual licensing basis. So we have these students that are potentially not able to achieve the success that they could if they were able to take that software on their personal device or go home and log into it on their computer, be able to continue working in that environment. So that's the reason we'd like to take a stab at this for 3 years and see what the adoption rate is, see how kind of be able to bring back some metrics and some success to you guys as we move forward.
In my opinion, 230 grand a year is a great convenience just to be able to do it at home. You could come here physically.
I mean,
But
yeah,
that's just my personal
and I could go, I could buy 7,200 computers too, if you like.
Well,
We're doing that
Which one's
later, right?
cheaper?
And,
Not quite 7,200.
it's probably, and it's probably, yeah, for any student, but it's probably, professional subscription to this is probably $900 a year. So it's, for us to get it at that price for our students is a really an incredible opportunity for us. But it also shifts that whole idea of us, instead of our students being consumers of content, to creating content. And that's the important part here is we're shifting that model. So students have access to these tools so they can create the content, and creating content is what's driving the future.
And as we're going to talk about some more technology later as well, but I want to point out when we talk about the price of this, I guess want to give some kudos to Amy Kirshner, who's our procurement manager and contracts manager, vendor relations person. Really worked to get this price down to where it is something that I feel comfortable coming to you guys and saying, we'd like to, using some HERF funds, we'd like to be able to take and see what this does for 3 years.
Is that 100%?
Yeah, so we are currently, the remainder will be HERF funds. There's a tiny piece in there that's what I'm currently paying to Adobe that I'm going to just continue moving forward.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it's HERF direct and indirect.
All motion to approve that.
I think it's been
I think we
moved
know.
and
You were
seconded.
the second.
So,
Yeah.
any other questions at all? If not, we'll go ahead and call the roll.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Law,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Lechtenberg,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yep.
trustee Howell,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Motion
Only
passes
because of the HERF
7-0.
money. I wasn't paying attention to the HERF, but that's still,
A lot of money, but it's not gonna get cheaper.
it's taxpayer money. but
We
it's not-
will move on to compensation increases for staff and health insurance piece of it.
This room temperature is making my nose run.
I know. Is it cold?
It's cold. You got your blanket
I've got
on.
on, all right, so full
The AC
disclosure, I
just-
have on 3 layers, you
The
guys, so
AC
I'm not
just
cold.
kicked. I
You want
wore a
blanket?
linen suit.
No.
That's bad.
I'm serious, I got a Butler
No,
blanket. I'll go
don't
get
worry.
it. Well, I don't want you to sit there and be
I wear a
cold.
sriracha.
I got a Nebraska blanket if you'd rather have it. You want to clean it?
No.
and I don't drink coffee.
So
so-
I'm just gonna raise the temperature.
We have somebody that's going to speak at all of that, or do we just move forward? with it?
Well,
We've talked-
go ahead, Shelley. You were speaking
know
of that, because we talked
We know a
about-
couple guys. that can fix that.
Yes. Or the. Shelley will go ahead and talk a little bit about this.
Okay, so we're bringing forward to you a TFA to approve the staff raises of 5% increase that is budgeted. And that applies to the admin institutional support. That's the salaried group and the hourly employees as well. Those are generally effective July 1 with the beginning of the fiscal year. So we're asking you a little bit behind and we'll do the retroactive pay for that. But we'd like to get that approved as an action item for the board. The second piece, and I don't know if we're going to do those as two separate motions, but the second piece would be the health insurance premium that went into it, will go into effect August 1st, or sorry, October 1st.
So I think we need two separate motions. We would start with the motion for the staff salary increase.
Yes.
If somebody is so inclined.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the recommendation by the administration for the 5% salary increase for full and part-time staff members. Any other questions or
Are
thoughts?
there any exceptions to that, or is it just like F? Is it just like F states? One of these guys. Where am I lost?
It would be.
It's on-
The first bullet point of
On
page
page 82 of
Look
your
at your
board
book on
book.
page 82.
Look at 82. I think that's the first bullet point. of page
Correct.
82, Drew.
Well, I get that.
So that's the motion on the floor to approve that recommendation on that bullet point, and that alone at this point.
5% increase.
If there's no other questions or concerns, we have to go ahead and call the roll.
No, not this one.
Trustee Good,
I thought I
Yes.
said that.
trustee Law,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Abstain.
trustee Lechtenberg,
Abstain.
trustee Winslow,
Abstain.
trustee Howell,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-4, 5-4, 3 abstains.
That's a lot of
Across,
people.
that is a lot, yeah, so that
Four.
motion is approved.
FOU
Lot of
are
fours, yeah.
4.
I really wish we
Four.
could have included the part-time. tax. That's my reason.
Would entertain a recommendation
It can be a separate
for
motion.
the staff health insurance contribution increases that have been discussed as well.
So that would be the third bullet point on page 82, I believe, and I make that motion to adopt the, as recommended.
And I will second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the recommendation for staff and health insurance contribution increases. Any discussion as it relates to that? If not, we can go ahead and call the roll.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Law,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Abstain.
trustee Lechtenberg,
Abstain.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Howell,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Motion passes with 5 votes for. Moving on to the approval of the purchase business analytics platform and development.
I'm going to turn that over to Esam. Okay, he's not here. I don't know.
Yeah. Yours are much more reasonably priced than those.
And here's the good news, Shelby. It's all paid for by her money.
Okay.
It should. It's all paid for. Now, a couple of things to keep in mind. I think this is a simple way of saying what we're trying to do is to get a dashboarding and visualization. Why that comes in handy is this, and why we need it now more than ever. You often hear us talk about Banner, which is our enterprise resource portal. All kinds of information is there, from grades and HR numbers and accounts receivable and everything else under the sun. It's a good thing. I mean, we have one place where we have all that information. For a lot of historical data and analysis, it works out. Where we kind of run into a hitch, and it has become more of an issue, is this, that in real time, when somebody needs to take a look at the charts and the graphs for the information right now, we don't have those tools right now. Generally, we have to download, put it in Excel, do that. Sometimes it works, but for when time is money, especially in accounts receivable and some other areas, we do need those visualization and dashboarding tools. So what is in front of you is a proposal to purchase a year-long license of Tableau, which is the platform, and a 3-month or 90-day development effort by Tableau's partners, so that we can start this dashboarding and visualization with our accounts receivable. They are the ones who need it the most right now. It literally is a case of time being money. We did check out some other options. This was the option where the platform and the developers, they were working together. They had worked on Banner before, and they came in highly endorsed by the state of Kansas. So they're buying them together. And in 90 days, if we like it, we may be able to deploy it in other parts of the institution. If we don't, we don't. But at least for the next year, we do have the platform, which is paid for by our money. And I'm not being facetious. I understand that's taxpayer money. But if we don't use it, I mean, I'd rather have us use the money instead of our money being used in New York and North Carolina. So that's what you have in front of you. And Shelby is much cheaper, as you said, than the others.
So tell them, Esam, what we're going to discover or what information we're going to gain, first of all, from accounts receivable that's going to be impactful. And I mean, you kind of talked about that just briefly, but give us some specific examples of what is going to happen with that, or what information you're going to gain from accounts receivable.
Information that is already there, but what happens is folks who are trying to, let's assume they're trying to collect money. So just having a list of names, that these are the 10 names, they will be able in real time to look at that information and go, well, here's information by name, but this is the trend line, but this is information if we slice it by zip code, or if we slice it by the age of the account, or if we slice it by 10 other attributes. It makes it easier to hone down and deploy resources in a more prudent manner. Insofar as accounts receivable, they have some pretty good processes which we can deploy immediately once this is available. And the other thing which comes along with it is this. Accounts receivable is part of our broad student services. There are times when there's a lot of pressure on it. When we can automate some of these processes, in critical times, we can allow AR people to kind of do backstop for enrollment folks and registration folks. So if you look at it this way, that it very well may be that you may be saving yourselves hiring another 1 or 2 people. Yes, ma'am.
I have questions.
All right.
Okay. I'm looking for a financial management type system.
Sure.
Okay. That has a table of reports that are already built pretty much, that you can indicate by plugging in certain requests. Okay. Now, is there anybody that you're going to have that knows table software, Tableau, or however you pronounce it?
Tableau.
Do you have anybody that can operate it now? Is your auditing company familiar with this? Tell me a little bit about it and how it operates and whether you have any in-house expertise. I mean, are you going to be able to walk up to that system and it's going to manage your data so well that you can actually put in, okay, I want to know in program diesel mechanic, okay? I want to know how many hours are being currently taken, how many students are in that program, how much it's costing us at the facility, okay? How many instructors we have, and how many related resources are attached. In other words, overhead, things like that.
The short answer is yes. I say
Really?
short answer, yes.
I'm very impressed. So is there anybody that can run it?
Okay, and that is where development part comes. We are building it out, starting the deployment and the development of the accounts receivable.
Okay.
If this works, and you're right, I want to see that too, makes my job quite a bit easier. But if this works, we deploy it out to other areas, including finance probably, and academics, because what you're asking is exactly where finance and academics get
Right,
ready.
enrollment,
Yeah.
you know,
The
fee
enrollment, the
structure,
cost, the fees, the overhead.
tuitions,
Yes.
yeah, all of that.
If this works out, in 5 or 6 months from now, if I'm here, we are all here, I'll come back to you and say, if this is working, let's give us another 6 months of development so we can start deploying that. This is not a turnkey thing, I'm afraid.
Do they give you anything for free? Do they give you like 90 days worth of development?
I will. The
I mean,
90-day worth of.
sometimes you can get a vendor to do that. I'm asking if you.
I think it's a very fair question. And you heard about Amy Kirshner. She is somebody I certainly don't want to be negotiating with me, because she will pull you down to the basic level, and that's what you did.
You'll leave without any shoes or.
Pretty
hats,
much,
right?
yeah. See, I already don't have my,
I noticed.
Amy took that away. But the answer is yes, we can do that. This time, what we are getting for free is some training. When this comes up again, I can certainly ask Amy to try to see if we can get some more. Instead of 90 days, maybe get 180 days or 74, 100 days, whatever it is, we can. This is a pilot project with accounts receivable, but I want to go where you are envisioning it to go. Where eventually, at the push of a button or maybe 2 buttons, we'll be able to say this program, this building, overhead, actual cost, this is what we are getting in, this is what we're getting out, right down to individual students.
And not having managed a college, I can't imagine the cost centers involved. I really just can't. I almost would have to assume they would be by site or building, and all of the things coming in and out would be the students and the classrooms and so forth that would be interchanging.
That could be part of it, or it could be by program and department. That's
Right. But
it could
again,
be.
I don't know how else you would manage it. But yeah, that's the data that I'm used to seeing, I guess.
You and I are on the same page. I would like to eventually see that too, that.
When you say eventually, are we talking 5 years?
I won't be around, I think I'll be dead by then.
Okay, I'm just asking.
For what you are asking, conservatively, I can tell you it'll be in 6 months, that will not be true. I suspect we are probably looking at about a year. Before we get
A year, okay. Hey, I don't think they've ever had it, so a year. I'll still be here.
I'll hold you to it because I'll come back and ask you for more money.
Well, you already got the 39,000 and you saw how Mr. Young got his Adobe, so that was a lot more than 39.
I would move to approve this.
I'll second.
It's been moved and
I enjoyed
seconded.
reading you in review. That
Yes.
was a pleasant surprise, like, hey. what's
Me
going on?
too.
Thank you very much, Esam. Heather, if you want to go ahead and call the roll. Yes.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Law,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trusteeLeckenberg,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Howell,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
The motion passes 7-0. Moving on to the couple of items that were removed from the consent agenda. I would entertain a motion to approve the student laptop initiative, and then we can have some discussion on it. So moved. For a second,
Second.
been moved and seconded to approve the student laptop initiative. Shelby, I assume you have
I just
some
want to make a
questions or
comment on it. I know it's free money right now for us to do something special and exciting. I just 2 or 3 or 4 years down the road when it's like, hey, all these laptops are old and they're not good enough. I don't want to have to face another additional several $100,000 upgrade of stuff we got for free now. I just want to keep that in mind in the future.
Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, so I'm gonna come back to you for more money. Don't worry about that. But so this laptop, this opt-in initiative for laptop is actually a student purchase. The student gets the laptop. I don't get it back. We've created, and so 2 things are gonna happen. Number one, we have to order the hardware, which is what we're here for tonight, which will kind of initiate the program for us to be able to finish the development of it. The reason that is because this hardware, as you guys know, with supply chain issues, in order for us to have these available for the spring, I got to get them ordered today.
Good luck.
After we, yeah, so yeah, no kidding. So after we move past this part, then there will be a group put together with my division, IS, and student services and some academics in our finance department to finalize this. But there will be an opportunity for a student to opt in. Every student that isn't just given a laptop, because not every student needs a laptop. And there are some students that may be in a program that requires significantly more powerful laptop than what we're providing at this price. But we've created a structure that allows this to be sustainable. So the student would opt into it and then essentially sign a contract for 3 semesters, 3 fall, spring, fall semesters, 3 normal semesters, full-time semesters. Once they've completed that, then they get the laptop free and clear. If they leave early, then they've got to pay us back for part of the laptop because I don't want it back.
Oh, no, you don't.
But that creates a sustainability model for us to be able to continue ordering as we need to. What this HERF money is allowing us to do is kind of bootstrap the program and get us started. But we've created a sustainability model, Shelby, so that we're not taking additional money out of the general fund or from the taxpayer. This is funded through the program, through student technology fees, and through the opt-in program.
Now, this is going to be IT professionals or IT students.
To disseminate the laptops. So there's a couple of models that we're looking at. We're the service. I don't have the staff to service 3,000 additional laptops tomorrow, unless y'all want to give me more money to hire people, which I don't want to do. So we've created an additional. We've created a negotiated a contract with Ribbit Computers, who's going to have somebody on staff out here to help us out. Ribbit's been a great partner for us. They've got our students are interning with Alex at Ribbit. So that'll help. So what we're going to work out over the next month, once we know that we're able to move forward with this program, is that piece of it, the dissemination. So we believe there's the potential that we're going to try to distribute these through one possibility is through the bookstore, because they have that software and the model in place now to say, okay, I can look at the student account. The student has enrolled in this program, so they'll get a laptop. That laptop's tracked then and sent to Ribbit Computers so the Ribbit knows that this laptop is now in play for student Winslow who is using the laptop. So,
And then the students go to Ribbit and pick them up. Is that right?
so one of 2 things, they can either go to Ribbit and pick them up. Ribbit will be distributing them directly, or we may be, we've got to work out if we're going to distribute them from the bookstore or from Ribbit. But either way, we're going to use that bookstore software because that's in place. They'll enroll. They'll enroll into the. Yeah, they'll opt in. No, I mean, they have to stay enrolled for 3 semesters. So they could be a semester in. So we're starting in the spring. They may have enrolled this fall. They're gonna be going here for 2 years. I mean, they could enroll in the spring. I don't have the laptops today, so we reorder because we've got the enrollment, the student tech fees and the enrollment fee to make this happen. This is a differentiator, guys. I mean, you guys, we've talked about it. You brought it up. You all have talked about finding these things. This is one of those many things that we've talked about tonight that's going to differentiate us from other colleges and really help our students hopefully achieve some success. So I'm excited
And
about
the
it.
only Kansas Community
The only
College
Kansas Community College
with
with the laptop initiative. I've worked with some other out-of-state colleges and to figure out this model. We had initially thought about, all 1-to-1 initiative, every student gets one, and every college I talked to said, no, like they don't all need them, right? You're just gonna have a bunch of laptops sitting around. So this is an opt-in, enroll in the program. So
Any other questions at all for,
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
if not? We had a motion.
Yep, we're good.
Go ahead
Trustee
and call
Good?
the roll.
Yes.
Trustee Law?
Yes.
Trustee Rhodes?
Yes.
Trustee Lechtenberg?
Yes,
Trustee Winslow? Yes. Trustee Howell? Yes. Trustee Smith?
Yes.
the motion passes 7-0. And so we'll move on to the ratification of the Douglas Neighborhood Revitalization Program. Would entertain a motion to approve that so we can have some discussion as well.
I would second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Douglas Neighborhood Revitalization Program.
And this is just something I wanted to, you guys get tired of hearing, put my 2 cents on. But Douglas is trying to expand and revitalize. So to do that, they need tax incentives. And to get tax incentives, they have to ask our permission because we're a taxing entity. I've lived in Butler County since '88. I never knew the college was a taxing entity until a few years ago. It's like, oh, okay. I was just wanting to separate it out so the people in Douglas know that, you know, we have to give our approval for them to have a tax rebate, which kind of rubbed me the wrong way as a property owner, but I'm totally for approving this.
We have, and we had, we had Andover
There we go.
neighborhood.
Yeah,
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 we've got a lot of them
yeah,
in Butler County. And there's always a question about the value, because it does impact the taxpayer. But I think lots of times the long-term value, you got to think about it, the long-term value that it increases hopefully over time property values. And
Oh,
so
sure,
it comes
sure.
back to the taxing
It
entities. but-
incentivizes you to.
Yeah,
upgrade.
yeah. So
We'll go ahead and call the roll.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Law,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Lechtenberg,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Howell,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Motion
And
passes
therefore, I
7-0.
move That we approve the consent agenda as presented.
There- It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Shelby. Call the roll.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Law,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Lechtenberg,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Howell,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. And so moving on to supplemental information. I think Shelby had asked to touch on some of the key performance indicators.
Right. So we're gonna have,
Well,
ask Esam if he would go through those or give us a little bit of an update. We don't have any updated numbers at this point in time, but go through and review those just a little bit for them and
It's kind of like a tease every month. It's like, hey, and we just kind of go by like, I want to hear from you some tonight. Thank you. So sorry. to
twice
ruin
in
your
the same
evening.
night, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to avoid something, so I'm good. And I'm glad you asked for this month, Shelby, partly because we'll start rolling out new updates in October. Starting next month, we'll get the completion update. So what you have in front of you, there are 6 indicators. Each of them are standardized because they are accepted or required by certain regulatory bodies, the state, the feds, the combination. The very first one, of course, is retention, which tracks certain kinds of students from the time they get into college and falls. So you want to see if they are still there next year. And those are, that comes in, you'll find the update will happen in April sometimes. The next one, which is very closely tied to that, is graduation rate and transfer rates. Those are the ones which are collected by the feds, just like the retention numbers. And again, those, they're updated approximately January. You guys send them in about November. For all of these, the process, of course, is that everything has to be cleaned up at our end. Then you submit it to whoever the regulators are. And they have some questions back and forth, and when they accept it and say, see, that's when I come to you and say, okay, these are regular numbers, these are accepted numbers, I cannot be sued, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And yes, I mean, as much as I'm joking about it, there's some of these things we do actually submit under the penalty of perjury. It doesn't happen. That's what it works. Then you have, similar to that, the third indicator you have is transfer GPA now. And that principally is a good indicator of those of our students who leave Butler and go on and transfer to other institutions, especially within the state. And we want to see, one, what GPA are they going in with? And two, how many hours are they transferring? That second part has become more and more important, partly because we want to have them articulate as much and save as much as they can as they go from here, which the state or Pittsburgh State, or that's really Lawrence, K-State, any of those things. On which the state will say more.
That's a good way to describe it.
The state's flagships.
Haskell. Moving right along.
Right next to it is a CT placement, which if on one hand, we are talking about those who transfer. There are those who get vocational degrees or CD degrees and go into the workforce. Track those two. That is a mandate of the state. And what we track there is how many self-reported was it as they got out next year. And are they employed within their own business. If they're employed, we count them as well. You got a certificate for an associate degree with the workforce focus. So again, we've done a pretty good job, about 75-76%. And finally, there is the big number, which is completions, which will be something that you will see next month. This is just a run. These in the past year, which ended in June of this year, these are the number of associate degrees, certificates, and anything else. There are some short-term certificates that we have awarded, which were recognized by the DA. All of that, and this obviously when I come to you next month with this update, there'll be fewer than that you saw in 2020 because we had fewer. Those are the 6 indicators, and starting next month, we'll start seeing every month or two come into the update.
Any other questions at all for Isam? Okay. If not, was there any, thank you very much. Dr. Kroll, was there anything on the calendar at all?
Just
that
a
is noteworthy?
well, work session coming up.
No, special meeting.
Or sorry, special meeting now.
keep
Yeah,
that in
but I
mind.
have my little note here too, so we'll make it a special meeting. I did add for the activity calendar, so you can see, I went through and added, I think, all of the athletic things between now and the end of October, as well as the fine arts things. And so, you know, if you're able, I've extended an invitation for you to come to the football game on Saturday night, to the Skybox. And please let me know if you can do that, if you'd like to come, so we can get a ticket and wristband for you and make sure we've got some food. The foundation board has been invited as well. But Canals have generously offered their suite for the Dodge City game. I also would encourage you to look down through the, about halfway down the activity calendar, the Thursday, September 30th, October 1st, October 2nd is the first theater production for this year. Those are outstanding opportunities to see our fine arts students perform. And then instrumental music is the following week on the 8th and 9th. And then the first vocal concert is the following on the 15th and 16th in October. So, you know, let us know if you want to attend those, and I'll make sure our office gets tickets reserved for you. They go fast. And so you'll want to plan ahead, because oftentimes those are sellout crowds. We also watch for an invitation also from the foundation coming to attend the scholarship dinner, which is
September the 30th.
30th. Yeah, September 30th. That's a great opportunity to, we sit down and donors, scholarship donors and students sit down and have dinner together. It's a fairly short evening. I think it starts at 5:30 maybe, or 6.
It goes no
And-
more than an hour.
Yeah, it's very short, but watch for that invitation coming from the foundation. We get a chance to sit down with our scholarship students. Dr. Neville's going to be the feature speaker, so that'll be fun. But those are the things that are coming up right now that I am have some awareness of. So, and also, so you know, next Tuesday is the first day for Heather Van Deaver to come to work in my office from Augusta. I'm really looking forward to having her be my executive assistant, and so she'll be at the next board meeting. You'll probably hear from her before that, obviously, but I'm really excited about Heather coming on board, and I think she'll be great to work with, and looking forward to that. So you'll see another new face around the table next month, and I'm guessing maybe Heather will still be here to help train.
No, I'm done.
So
I
anyway,
might add, Dr. Kroll, that, and I don't know if you're all sports fans, but Lisa pointed out to me the other day, I think it's 4 or 5 of the teams right now are nationally ranked.
yes,
So regardless of the sport
My
you may or may not
gosh.
like, if you want to wait to see some good
Yep.
athletics, football beat Hutch last weekend.
yeah, we
Right.
football beat Hutch, volleyball beat Hutch, and soccer beat Hutch. It was a sweep. It was great.
Didn't I see that for volleyball, this is the first time in the program history that they've been nationally ranked?
Since Division One. Yeah, they were ranked, I think, in 2013 on the Division Two side.
Continue to be
fantastic.
really,
Soccer's phenomenal,
Yeah.
softball.
yeah, really, really proud of our coaches and the recruiting that they do within Kansas and the Kansas athletes that are part of our teams. You look at it's a little bit different for track and for basketball, but certainly most of the other teams, if you compare our teams to the other institutions, we have lots and lots of Kansas kids usually that are on our teams in comparison to some of the other colleges. So proud of the fact that that our coaches have that focus.
So I think we'll take a break. Dr. Kroll was trying to get a hold of Ray and let him know we're a little bit ahead of schedule for the
Yeah.
exec session. So
And I
we're gonna
just heard from him.
try
So
to be 7:20 or so. Gonna work okay.
I told him 7:20 and he said yes. So
We'll
he'll
take a
call
break
in.
and then try to get back by 7:20 to get moved into executive session.
Yeah.
Perfect.
They were talking about live fire training. I thought the police department was wanting to have live fire training on campus. I'm like, how are we gonna shoot live guns on campus? Just drive over to Revere. But it's like, oh, actual fire.
I've got Tom.
It's a little safer.
Yes. Esam.
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent.
entertain a motion to move into executive session. We need the motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we go into executive session for consultation with legal counsel, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship and to include the board, President Kim Kroll, Ray Connell, and Shelley Stoltz. And we'll need about 30 minutes, I'm told.
Or a second.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to move into executive session. Call the roll.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Law,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Luckenberg,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Howell,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Motion passes. We'll move into executive session and we will mark the time once we get it over. Ray, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me now?
Yep, we're in the process of moving over to the exec session, so give us just a minute.
I will.
Call in.
Are we good?
Don't leave, you gotta go get your little.
Say yes to lunch. I don't even remember. I think I did.
Yes, you
dinner.
did.
I long
Are
for the days
we-
when we had really nice little dinners back there.
Matt, you good?
Great Western
Matt.
Justice.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I move that we adjourn for the evening.
Second.
I second.
Forrest, you go.
Moved and seconded to adjourn. Go ahead,
joint
call the
second.
roll.
Trustee Good,
Aye.
trustee Law,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Luckenberg,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Howell,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.